Good morning. Our hand today is going to be Ace Queen. In this hand, under the gun player raises 2.5. When we look at this player, he is $38 winner over 3,000 hands, or more than 3,000 hands. More, actually, about almost 3,000 hands, anyways. Raise first in stat 17%. That's for early position. He's under the gun. He might be playing a little bit tighter. This is 16.6. It's possible that he might get rid of some of these weaker hands, maybe some of those. If he's playing a polarized range, this guy might be playing a polarized range. Possibility. I mean, that brings it down to 15%, but I think I'm gonna keep it here. So then it's on me with Ace Queen. I think oftentimes this is a fold, at least from hand charts. Early position versus EP2. That's our three better call range. Our three betting range looks something like that, and you can see Ace Queen offsuit is not in that. Now, would this technically be E1 and would I be E2? No, because we're basically six-handed here. So here I'm in mid position. This is kind of like a mid position versus mid position type situation. Actually, I'm gonna expand this. Now I'm gonna leave him as like an under the gun. If we were to go, so I'm technically in the hijack. We go hijack versus early position. You can see 3-bet range looks something like that. 3-bet call range looks something like that. I think we could definitely have an argument to raise here. If we go low jack versus EP, we've got 3-bet doesn't include it, and neither does the 3-bet or call. So we kind of have a situation where we can 3-bet. We don't necessarily have to. I think for the short-handed, I probably made a mistake by not 3-betting. Probably should have 3-bet him to be a little bit aggressive. And instead I didn't. I just called. So the advantages of 3-betting is that it applies pressure, makes it less likely that one of the blinds will come along, kind of forces these players out. Not too worried about him. He's a tight passive, very tight passive player. That I think if I call and he comes along, we probably have to be concerned. If I raise and he calls, definitely have to be concerned. I'm probably behind at that point. So what do? I called. I think it coming up with my range here. Oops. Oh, I changed that. Let's fix his range. I think we'll go with that range for him. My range is probably like hijack versus early position. Could be hijack versus low jack. Like 3-bet or call, 3-bet. You can see I probably should have 3-bet here. So what I'm going to do is use this 3-bet or call range and say, this is what I was playing. This isn't, I don't actually have Ace Queen. Folds around, villain 10. Villain 10's playing 44-3. Loose passive. When we look at his pre-flop stat, he calls 2-bets 38% of the time. I think he's going to be fairly wide. So what I gave him this range minus the queens plus ace king. This is about 41%. And we see a flop of king 10-2. So flop the gut shot. 3-way pot versus a villain that seems to be somewhat tight. Villain 10 checks, no big surprise. Villain 7 bets. His c-bet stat is 65% when out of position. I think this is a board that likely benefits his range more than mine. So I expect him to be c-betting here. He c-bets about half. So I think here he's probably c-betting. Let's get these. That's 83%. Gut shot, open ender, flush draws, pairs plus. that's probably appropriate. I don't know if I've had notes. Yeah, raise c-bet in a 3-bet pot with trips. Lead turn half pot with underpair. After pre-flop, aggressor did down c-bet, so he floats. Check raises the turn with top 2 pair. Donks with a nut straight. Call river probe with underpair. Okay, so we don't really know what all he's c-betting with. Would he c-bet with these pairs? Would he just check call? Since he's out of position, I think here, oops. Yeah, I think here, in a 3-way pot, I think you're gonna play a little bit more straightforward. So if I was him and I had ace king or king queen, I'm probably gonna be betting here. I think we're gonna see a lot of calls. We're gonna see calls by like king queen, king jack, queen jack, probably queen 10, jack 10, maybe even 10-9. You're gonna get called by spades. I think there's a lot of hands that can call us, so we would be c-betting for value. Here, I don't think that's really good for checking, and if we're going to be c-betting for value all of our top hands, then we should be mixing in like our flush draw, open enders, 2-card backdoor, straight draws. Now, what about us? It doesn't necessarily mean that villain connected, but if we look at his range, like 2 pair plus, it's actually pretty strong, actually. So if we colored these up and said these are some of his draws, you're looking at 61, 62%, has a pair plus. Yes, his top pair is at 22%, and I think that's the key thing. If we add up everything else, it's almost 30%. He has top pair plus here. So we're just drawing to a gut shot, really. It seems weak to fold, but with this third player in, it's a possibility that we should probably just fold. So based on what we have here, I think we are going to raise with the set. I think we're going to raise with our top pair. I think we'll probably raise with jacks as well. And maybe our middle pair is... I don't know. I actually think this is probably going to be a calling hand. I think it's probably what we're going to be doing. We do have a gut shot. Jeez, oh man, so basically 100% of our range. Yeah, I think that's probably it. I don't think we're going to have enough, like, just calling hands to have a calling range. I'm sorry, to kind of split up between a calling range and a raising range. I think, we would raise a set. We would raise probably top pair. Jacks, we could probably bet. Middle pair, we could probably bet kind of like as protection, but I'm not sure if this board is a board that really is looking for protection. So if we raise, it would really be raising with the set and maybe with the nut flush draw, maybe with the open ender. But I think we've got a little bit more information because his c-bet's pretty high and then it drops off. So I think if we just call and then he checks to us, it's probably likely that he doesn't have a king, which means we could then fire out our bets with some of these middle cards as kind of like a protection bet on the turn. So I think that's kind of what we're doing with all of our calling range. We're going to be calling here, and that includes like ace jack and ace queen are kind of similar. However, with these are the suited hands. So I don't really mind the call. And then villain 10 folds, so he's gone. And then we see a turn of ace. So now, if villain had ace king, we're way behind. We're drawing to a jack, basically. But if villain had king queen king jack, we've just now improved to the best hand. So villain now bets smaller. So he bet half pot. Now he's betting a quarter pot. I think this could be a bet that says, hey, I hit 2 pair, I'm trying to keep you along. Or this could be a bet that's like, I don't like that card, I know I should continue betting, but I'm afraid to bet. I'm afraid to bet because I might be behind, so let's just bet something small. I think that's probably what he's doing. So I'm going to eliminate the straight, the set. I think I'm going to eliminate 2 pair. I think with the top pair, I don't think he would have. I think ace queen, ace jack would have come out with a larger bet. Well, no, not really, because we could also have a straight. So I'm gonna leave. Yeah, I'm gonna leave all of these that he minus a straight. I think the straight goes a little bit larger. Because I think the straight is trying to block out the flushes. So I think sets, 2 pair, top pair. I mean, he's giving me odds to draw, and maybe he's giving himself odds to draw to the flush draw. So we'll leave the flush draw in there. Middle pair probably. I think pocket queens and jacks probably just check. Weak pairs probably just check. So I think he's looking at something like that. I think this is a good spot now where we can come in for a raise. I think we come in for a raise with our straight, with our sets, with our 2 pair, with our top pair. I think we hit it. I would actually hit it with our flush draw as well. That includes our queen jack, our jack 10, and probably I think what we're looking at is something like this too. Let's get this flush draws. I think maybe as a bluff. We've got some value with king, queen, and king, jack, so I think we call with those. Let's color those up. I think we probably call with jacks too. I think we have some value there. But I think our weak pair, 9s and 8s, I think we can raise. We are taking advantage of weakness. If he folds, great. We've just picked up. My guess is he would be folding like king. He's folding hands with equity. So I just called. I have raise with top pair. No. I'm going to call with top pair because I need that top pair to kind of protect like the middle pair, pocket pair, less than second cards. I need to have some of those in there. But I think 2 pair should be raising. So I think that's what we're calling with. So we should be ahead of some of his range. 9 of hearts comes out. I expect him to bet at least 2 pair plus. He checks, so I think there's a straight on the board. So the question is, if he checks 100% of his range, because there's a straight on the board, if I bet, what hands call? Straight probably check raises. We'll count that as a call. A set calls. I bet 2 pair calls. And I bet some of our top pair calls. Let's do that. Middle pair. Let's say that's 50%. There we go. Let's say 50% of the time he calls with middle pair, and then everything else is a fold. So if that's what he's calling with, our top pair, ace queen, beats ace jack. We split with ace queen, and then 50% of the time. So do we have that? Yeah, that's 28, 19%. So actually, I think if we bet and called, we're probably going to be behind. So this is probably going to be a check behind, go for value, take some value. I don't think he's calling enough with weaker hands to try to go for some value. So you can see with like this, he's got about equal number of ace queen and ace jacks. We can probably bet small. So out of 25, we could probably do like 8 big blinds, 6 big blinds. That might be worth it, you know, EV wise. But overall, I think if called, we're going to be behind more than 50% of the time. So he checked. We see a board. He shows queen. So I think that is part of. Where did it go? Oh, so we threw it off. You know, with queens, I assumed this queens and jacks, he probably would have checked now that an ace and a king is out there, but he didn't. So we can add a note to this player now. We missed it. He's being aggressive, probably with queens and jacks again, and that kind of explains his size down. So we'll have to really investigate, why does he size his barrel down? Was it because he had an underpair, or will he do the same thing with a premium hand if he's scared of the straight and so forth? So we didn't quite get this, but I think the analysis, I think how we played it is okay, minus the 3-bet. I think we could have 3-bet here. I guess one thing we have to consider is that we're both fairly deep, and I think we're pretty deep at the start, so almost 200 big blinds deep. So with ace queen, I think we don't necessarily want to 3-bet and then face a 4-bet, because we're going to have to give it up. So at least here we get to see a flop on what should be a decent range. All right, hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, look tomorrow for another one.